In this video, I take you through the how and why of using iRacing's new and very useful Instant AI feature. And all from an older gamer's perspective. At the launch of Season 4 2024 of iRacing, there was a somewhat lackluster video from iRacing that, aside from a few specific highlights, was fairly anemic when it came to actual content being introduced to the sim. I mean, yes, of course, there was a new track, the somewhat claustrophobic looking Cadwell Park in Lincolnshire in the UK, and an update to Spa that is mostly eye candy, but at least it's a free update, which is more than can be said for the new BMW GT4. Oh, and there was this car, of course, which received a lot of attention, and also the mini stock for dirt and tarmac that is, I can tell you from personal experience, a lot of fun to drive, but challenging to master on dirt oval tracks. However, apart from some unspecified improvements to performance and the inclusion of spotty rain, a feature so lacking in excitement, it reminded me vaguely of the sim racing equivalent to a bedtime cup of Horlicks. There wasn't a lot to get the sim racing juices flowing. In fact, most of the video was taken up with new staff announcements and confident sounding predictions on how cool iRacing would be at some unspecified point in the future. In fact, you hear that term, the future, over and over using various different words, which at least means iRacing have a decent thesaurus in their office. So you could be forgiven when watching this masterclass in mediocrity in missing an update to the iRacing interface that is actually live now.
Instant AI.
In Season 4 of 2024 and is actually useful to the average iRacer.
Now again somewhere!
Introducing Instant AI. Instant AI, no, seriously, that is what it's called, is a new feature in the UI that allows you to jump straight into an AI race with a sort of copy and paste of the race conditions, temperature, weather, time, cars and track, and so on, for any particular race in the official schedule. Why is this useful? Well, if you are like me, real life means you end up trying to log onto a race in a specific series only to find the delays due to plugging in the VR headset, turning on the wheel, booting up crew chief, and so on, means you miss the actual start time, possibly by just a few minutes. And now you have to wait an hour. Sometimes with the GT4 and TCR series, 2 hours. For most sim racers with an active life and friends and family and all that stuff I've heard about from other people, time is a very valuable resource that should never be wasted. Enter Instant AI, the antidote for wasted time, which allows you to jump into an AI simulation of that particular race schedule and get a proper practice race under your belt and still leave you enough time for a loo break before you sign up and enter the real life race that's going on that evening. And that sort of practice time is worth every penny of your valuable sim racing free time. Let's take a look at how it works.
Getting excited!
How to use and customize Instant AI. To access Instant AI, just select the series you are interested from the UI by clicking here. Then when the main selection screen pops up, click the upward facing arrow down here to display this submenu. From here, click Create a single AI session. You'll note that it said multi-class is not supported. I'll come back to that later. The single race screen will load. If you've never used the AI function before, you may see the screen in the wizard mode, which takes you by the hand to set up the race. But I find this time consuming, so always display the full set of race parameters by clicking here. And if I scroll through, you can see that all the settings, practice and qualifying times and the amount of race laps along with the car and track and time of day and weather forecast are all set correctly for that series as defined by the current schedule. That's a big time saver and will allow you to practice this race using the exact conditions you will be using in a live race without having to faff around with these other AI settings. This is all well and good, but predictably, there are some settings you do need to faff with, or at least tweak a little bit in order to get instant AI to work optimally for you and your particular racing style and racing ability. To access these tweaks, scroll down a bit further until you see the section at the bottom. Make sure that AI opponents avoid players is toggled off. Your average iRacer won't be avoiding you in a live race, so you need to make sure the AI race is as close to an actual race as possible. This setting should be off by default, but check it just the same. Under that, you will see number of drivers. This should be set to the maximum you can have in each event. But if you're in a Class C race, you might be seeing less drivers in an actual live race, particularly in the TCR. So adjust this figure as you see fit. For rookie races, you should leave it at 11, which is 12 drivers, including you. Next is the final adjustment and the most personal to your particular style of driving and ability, the skill at which the AI drivers will be performing. This algorithm for AI racing in iRacing is okay-ish, so long as you set it correctly for you. In that, if you set it too high, the AI drivers will be unbeatable and not very useful for a practice race. But also, if you set it too low, you will be beating them hands down and then in for a rude reality check in an actual live race. I tend to set the maximum intelligence level to hot shots, which is the right hand slider set to 51%. And then I adjust the lower skill spread to be just under that, which I find creates a competitive race that's useful for practice. However, if you are a better driver than me, and you probably are, you might want to pump this up to 71%, which is pro standard, and adjust the minimum to around 51%. And that will be a race where you have to really fight for your position. If you are short of time and want to make sure this AI session finishes before the next live race begins, you can also disable practice and qualifier, which will dump you straight into the grid at the start of the race. If you decide to do this, you will also need to select where on the grid you should start by scrolling all the way back down to the very bottom of the window and choosing whereabouts on the grid you would like to begin the race. I always go at the back and then see how far I can get towards the front. It's a sort of a challenge. Once this is done, bam, hit continue and away you go into the race, and all that AI excitement awaits you.
Come on, so-called partner, let's race.
Out on track. The race will start as it always does and place you at the main interface at trackside. Here, if you did want to disable practice and qualifier but forgot, you can skip them now using the arrows at the top of the interface. And if in the actual race you stuff up something or other, want to restart, you can use these arrows again by exiting the car, then clicking the back arrow to scroll back to starting the race again. Personally, I find these AI races very useful, more so than the practice sessions or hot laps, for getting in some actual race experience on tracks I haven't had much experience with or haven't visited for some time. At the end of the race, you are presented with an amusing race report, well, mostly amusing, and even get a full race results screen for you to analyze. And by the time you have finished looking at all of that, the real race should be about ready for fresh registrations, and you will be polished, practiced, and ready to claim that podium place that is rightfully yours.
Victory shall be mine.
Conclusions. Despite the fact that Instant AI currently doesn't support multi-class races, which is probably a big disappointment for some racers, this new feature is still a great addition to the practice toolbox of every iRacer. The ability to set an AI race to the exact conditions of a scheduled race with just one click is a great time saver, and if you use it correctly, a brilliant tool in preparing you for a live race. You do, of course, still need to own the content, tracks and cars. iRacing still hasn't figured out that try before you buy is a necessity in today's global economy. But that aside, it's a very cool feature that I urge you to look into as soon as possible. If you do still want to race multi-class, I have this video on this channel for setting up multi-class AI, and I will link it below. One word of warning. As this is a brand new feature in iRacing, there are predictably one or two bugs that hopefully will be sorted out soon. Nothing world-shattering, but it's worth me mentioning here. During the making of the video, I soon realized that it wasn't possible to set my start position. And no matter how many times I put myself at place 12 in the options, the race always started me at P1. Worse still, if I did the qualification and deliberately tried to fail so that I would be somewhere towards the back, I still found myself at P1. So, clearly some bugs to work through on this new feature. Also watch out for the AI race settings at the bottom of the interface, as they seem to reset every time you access Instant AI, which is a bit of a pain and takes the shine off this new feature. Instant AI isn't very instant if I have to keep resetting the skill level every time I open it. As I said, new feature, new bugs. But even with these issues, Instant AI is something you should seriously consider as part of your downtime iRacing schedule. So now you know how to do it, will you use it? I know I will, but I really need the practice. But what do you think about this new addition to the UI? And what do you think about the general state of iRacing as Season 4 rolls on? Please comment below. In the meantime, I hope you found this video helpful, and until the next one, race clean, and I'll see you on track.
Your car has too much damage, we've got to fix it.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click the like button, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe. Click the little bell icon if you want to be notified of any future videos.